Hey guys, it's Vandy back at another Dragoborne deck unboxing. So if you guys enjoy, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and donate to the Patreon. Now let's get one started. Today we have Alpha Dominance to show off the power of Taros, the deck that introduces war into the Dragoborne universe and just annihilates everyone. So this deck is very interesting, so I kind of find it fun because it's like power-based, and I think the main card involves dice rolling as an actual part of its main gimmick, which is really nice. And for our alliances today, or like the main decks that are supported, are obviously Taros, as is Alpha Dominance, and the main box art is red, and we get this really cool-looking Dragon Boy. We have blue, which makes sense because blue is like the deck that supports everyone. It's the deck that kind of just gives machines for war to everyone. It doesn't matter whose side they're on, so blue's kind of in the middle. And we have the green, which doesn't really make sense because green is somewhat at war with red, and for some reason this is a alliance between them, but I'm fine with it honestly because hey, we get blue support, and blue is my favorite color out of these. So let's go ahead and get the box opening started. Oh yeah, let's also not forget to say the thing about the deck. So it's a beatdown deck that is consistent in power. Summon powerful creatures one by one and pave the way to victory. So unlike the last deck, sorry, not unlike the last deck, but unlike Shadow Legion, where you didn't have to where you didn't have a lot of power creatures, but you had a lot of rushing power. Now you don't have a rushing power, but you do have a lot of power-based creatures. So it's kind of like the swap between the two, and I find it very interesting. We have the rule book again, just like I did in the first video. Nope. Okay, I don't want to move it under the couch. I want to at least throw it out the way. And then we have our playmat. I'm not going to unfold it yet. Actually, no, I will unfold it just because. Okay. And I'll let it fold back into its own shape later. Hopefully I remember how to fold this back into its own shape later, because I kind of fucked it up with Shadow Legion, and I want to make sure I fold this back later. Okay, we have our big boy. We already saw what the first side looks like, but just in case you want a reminder of what the main Draco side looks like, or the main playmat, we have our forts at the middle, we have our banners at the bottom / resource zone, and we have our ambushes at the top. On the back, we have something for supporting of Alpha Dominance. Let me see if I can scale this down. Yes, Alpha Dominance. Look at the big dragon boy looking at you. He's ready for revenge. So, Alpha Dominance. The strong thrive and the weak perish, such is the way of life in the savage world of Vashar, a rule established long before the rise of the Drago Lords, with a new age of war dawning upon the land. Only the most powerful and resourceful of creatures can survive. Alpha Dominance aims to build up a solid resource base and control the field in the early stages of the game before unleashing its full strength to crush the opposition in the late game. So, pretty much, that is exactly what it does. It just doesn't build up as much as a field as the other deck does. I mean, as Shadow Legion does, but it does like build up a lot of power really quickly, and you kind of just use it to take control of the game from there. So let's go ahead and open up these little deck boxes, if I can do that. I really like these though. Like, maybe I should actually keep this for my other decks. So we have our dice. Let's quickly. I cannot remove the dice without removing the decks. No, why do the dice always run? Okay. So we have our standard blue, red, and green dice, which are all really nice to represent the different banners in this. So let's put them all over there. And we have our big Dragon Boy, but let's remove the little casing first before I do anything about Dragon Boy. Just remove the casing. Okay, here we go. Our main guy for this deck, Izzeko Tafs. That's not how you say his name. I'm gonna try it again. Izzeko Tafs. That's still not his name, but I'm going to go with it. Born of Magma. Cost of 7. Attack and endurance of 6 each. Auto, when this creature is summoned, choose one of your dice and change its value to 6. Then choose any number of your opponents and creatures and deal 6 damage divided among those creatures. And then auto, red dragon cross, when this creature is destroyed, choose any number of opposing creatures and deal 7 damage as divided of you choose among those creatures. So first off, immediately, the second it's summoned, one of these 3 or any other dice that you choose to make with your custom deck becomes 6 immediately. And then you can deal 6 damage divided by any number. So you can pick 1 creature, deal 6 damage. You can pick 2 creatures, deal 3 damage. Pick 3 creatures, deal 2 damage each. Pick 4 and get a decimal, etc., etc., etc. So, all around, very interesting, and I like that ability. Not to mention that, you know, when he's red Drago Cross, which means you just take your red dice and you put it at right here in the top right-hand corner of the card, he has the ability just to straight up deal 7 damage to something if it dies somehow. So I like this card. Its art's really cool. It's got the really nice foil, which brings Bushy's old memories of foiling back. Unfortunately, this one doesn't have it, but it still looks cool. And unfortunately, we only get 2 of it, but it really does work in the deck, and I like it. 2 of, or at least from what I've seen, it does work in the deck. Now, let's get to the rest of the deck. We have Thornback Walker, creature of Trent, 5 level, cost of 5, attack and endurance of 4 each. And then it's a fort burst, you just summon it. So basically when your fort is destroyed, you can take it instead of putting it into your hand like you would normally do. You can immediately play it, and it's, it's a 4/4. So all around, it's a really helpful card to have on the field. It makes your life really easy to do when you just call it. And it's a decent power boy, so I give him that, and he's a 4, which is actually really nice because since you get your forts at random, it's basically an easy way to kind of just build up your field quickly and go for a rush if they are under forts. Granted, you never know what's under your forts, but if you have a feeling of what's under your forts, it's really easy to use. Next up, we have Evelyn Farstriker, a cost 4, attack of 2, endurance of 3, continuous for each of your non-green creatures. It gets +1/+1. So you do not want to run this in an all-green deck because the second you do, you cannot use her ability. But if you run her in a non-all-green deck, she gets power for every one of your creatures that isn't a green card. So for example, if you have this and Born of Magma over here, that's what I'm going to choose to call him because I can actually pronounce, she'll get +1/+1, and that ability will stack the more and more creatures you have. So she's really nice. Her power can build up really quickly. She may be low, but she does work really quickly, so 2 of. Next up, we have 2 of Prime Ape Javeliner, 5 attack, 4 defense, level 4. Just a standard vanilla, but hey, he's got 5 attack swing, so he's good in my book. I like him for that, so 2 of. This deck is definitely a power deck. Like, you want to use this to kill your opponent quickly. Next up, we have Fleetwing Sprite, a level 2 with 1 attack and 1 endurance. Auto, when this creature is summoned, you may put a card from your hand into your resource zone. So a way to get an extra resource really quickly, and I like this card. I think a lot of people, when set 1 first came out, they still ran this at 4 because it's really good just to get a free resource. And Fort Burst, put this card into your resource zone. So, if it was your fort, she goes into a resource zone herself, which all around is really nice. It's a nice card to use to get your resources up, build them up, and then bring out your big boys really quickly in one go. Kind of just stockpile the hand with that. So I like this card. And I give it a 4, which thankfully it is in this deck. So there's a few staples that they put at 4 back in 2017. Next up, we have Nature's Touch. Spell Earth Ambush. You may pay 2 and put this card face down as an ambush for one of your forts. Auto, when a creature at this fort is destroyed during your opponent's turn, if it is an ambush, you may summon that creature. So pretty much, you can get your creature back that was killed, and then put this ambush and drop all around. Really nice. Brings back your dead boys from the depths of hell, and all around really nice card. So 2 of. Next up, we have 2 of, I believe, of Linnea's Call, a cost 2 spell of nature. Summon a cost 4 or less green creature or a cost 3 or less creature from your hand. So either call a cost 4 or less green, or just call anything that's cost 3 or less, which is really nice. And it's a fort burst. Put it into your discard pile and summon a cost 7 or less creature from your hand. So quite literally, get your boss monster out, because this is exactly cost 7. Or just get any other boss monster out, because I think a lot of them are cost 7 in general. So this thing works really well. And this was actually the promo I picked up when I went to Grand Fest, when I first was introduced into Dragoborne. So, and I think I have the promo right here. So that is actually an interesting thing. So now I have 3 of them, and I like this card a lot. So I can't really wait to start playing with this thing, because I've been waiting. It's been sitting in my extra space box for years, and now it finally gets use. Next up, we have Drap Kingpin, our first blue card. Cost of 4, creature Marflock. Attack and endurance are 3 and 4, respectively. Auto, when it's summoned, you may choose 2 dice and exchange their values. So pretty much you can take your green dice and your blue dice. You can change, if say your blue dice is 5 and your green dice is 4, you can change it so that the blue dice is 4 and the green dice is 5, and vice versa. And it doesn't have to be those dice in particular, it can be any dice. And auto, when this creature is blue Draco crossed, increase the values of all your dice by 1. Dice values cannot go above 6. So pretty much a way to constantly increase your dice values. It does not matter. It's a permanent ability, which all around. Oh no, it's auto ability, which means the second it gets Draco crossed. So for that turn, they basically get the increase in dice value. Which is why I like this card a lot. Even though he is a once per turn ability, because you can drag across as much of the turn as you want, I like it. So 2 of. I mean, not as much of the turn as you want, but your dice always get redone, so it's a way to constantly drag across. Next up, we get the vanilla Gilman Raider. Creature is a Gilman, cost of 2, 3 attack, and 2 endurance. Rerun him at 2 of because he's just a vanilla, but hey, you know, you call him, you get a quick attack in, nothing too special about him, but also he looks really cool. Blue is some of my favorite cards in terms of artwork, honestly. Next up, we have Rejuvenance, Spell of Water, cost of 2. For each of your forts with 1 or less barrier, you draw a card. So if you're in the losing game, granted you can only draw 3 because you only have 3 forts, but if you're in the losing game, you draw 3, and that's really nice to have. And then green dice 1 to 3. So to use this, you have to run it in a green deck if you want to use it to its full extent. So that's 1, 2, and 3 for it. Then put the top card of your deck into your resource zone. So basically, draw 3 and get a resource if you have a green dice and you have all of your forts are at 1 or less. So all around, nice ability. And then Fort Burst, play without paying its cost. So basically, you get to use it. So instead of going to your hand, it gets put into your discard pile, and it gets activated instead of going to your hand. But it's still really nice, get you those draws and get you, you know, some nice resources. So all around, I'll take it. And it's at 2 of course it is. We get like 1 card then in my opinion. We get like 1 or 2 cards in my opinion that I think are going to be 4 ofs, and then they actually are, then everyone else is a 2 of. So I'm pretty sure we haven't ran into the second one yet. Next up, we have All Guns Blazing. Very interesting name. Cost 6. Choose an opposing fort and rest all creatures at that fort. This looks like a creature. This is a spell somehow. I question how this is a fucking spell, but apparently it is. And Fort Burst. Put this card into your discard pile, choose a creature and rest it, and draw a card. So pretty much choose a fort, rest all their creatures, and then if it was a Fort Burst, you pick another creature, you rest it, and you draw. So 4 of it actually is a nice spell despite the fact being really expensive in terms of cost. He does get you what you need in terms of like resting and drawing, so I'll give him a 4 of. And of course he was a 4 of, so I think that was our second 4 of, unfortunately. Now we go to our reds, which is our mains. We have Stormfeather Screecher. This is a straight up Harpulator from Yu-Gi-Oh! Cost of 6. Attack and endurance are both 5 each. Continuous, when this creature deals damage to a fort, deal 2 damage instead. So a way to kind of just quickly get rid of a fort actually, because this can kill 2 fort barriers at once. And Continuous Dragocross, it gets green Dragocross by the way, so you need the green die for this and put it in this corner. It gets +1/+1, so it's a 6/6. So all around, really interesting. I like the bird. He's not my favorite card out of these, but I'll give her 2 of. Bit high cost. Next up we have Carefree Orc. Creature Orc. Cost of 2, attack of 2, and endurance of 1. Auto, when this creature attacks, you may choose a creature and deal 1 damage to it. So just straight up on swing, deal damage. Nothing too special about it. In my opinion, I feel like you could run this deck and Shadow Legion together, and with Shadow Legion's low cost cards, and then with this deck's high cost cards but resource gaining factors, you can abuse the shit out of it. And then if by some miracle your opponent survives the part of Shadow Legion where you just rush your opponent down, they definitely ain't surviving big boys like this that just kill off whatever they have left unless they made a massive counterattack. And that's just with Trout decks, honestly. So all around 2 of. I like this card, and I kind of wish it was the 4 of staple instead of All Guns Blazing, which is still a cool name, but in terms of who I prefer the Orc. Next up, we have Wandering Orc, cost 4, attack of 5, and a endurance of 4. So just a vanilla, but of course he's the 4 of, but he's still good. I like him for that. He has the swing of 5, and that makes him useful in some scenarios. So, like I said, I prefer the level 2 orc. Cost 2 orc. Next up, we have Bone Club Giant, cost of 3, 4 attack, and 3 endurance. So, you know, he swings decently big, and he's decently low cost. He is a vanilla, unfortunately, but I will still take him. He has purpose, and he is a 4 of. Next up, we have Hidden Blade, 4 attack, 1 endurance, the cost of 3, and it's just a Fort Burst where you summon it. So that's how all Fort Burst are in the trial decks, or at least for creatures. They're just an immediate summon. So it's still nice, you know, you get to summon out the second it bursts, so instead of going to hand, you get another creature out of it. So I like it. It's very interesting. At least she's a 4. I'm getting something that I like out of 4. That's good, that's good, that's good. And let me just put our promo before our banners here, because I don't want to miss them. Let me just make sure I did. Okay, yeah. So next up we have Highlands Rogue. Cost of 1, attack of 1, and endurance of 1. Finally, we hit something with really low standards. And auto, when this creature attacks a fort, if another of your creatures attacked a fort during that fort in particular during that turn, it gets +2/+2 for the turn. So pretty much, you have to have another creature for her to be useful, but you know, if you do, she's a 3/3, making it harder to block her without losing a creature out of it. So all around, I really like her. She is low cost. Once more, you can just combine this with Shadow Legion, make it very difficult for your opponent to live, because if they do survive the early rush, they definitely ain't surviving the end game like blow up with big magma. So all around, a really nice card. 4 of. Okay, yeah, we're getting a lot of 4 of staples today. Thank you. And our last 2 cards before our promo and our banners. Torch is just a cost 3 spell. Choose a creature and deal X damage to it, where X is the value of one of your red dies. It is a fort burst by playing it without paying the cost. So, you know, if it's your fort and it bursts, instead of adding it to your hand, you can immediately play it without paying its cost and deal damage equal to your red dice. So say your red dice value is 6, you deal 6 damage to a creature. So all around is really nice, and I like this card. 2 of. It's amazing as a fort burst. And then we have our promo before our banners, which is Aldeline Verdant Protector, creature, angel, cost of 3, attack and endurance of also 3. Auto, when it's summoned, you may choose one of your barriers and move it to another fort. So that is very interesting, because that basically allows you to pick one of your little blockers, because those are what your barriers are on your fort, they're the face down cards. You can take one of those and move them to another fort. So kind of swap around, make your plays better. All around, very interesting to not spread around your resources, so I like him for that. And auto, when this creature is blue Draco crossed, choose 2 opposing dice and exchange their values. So you can fuck with your opponent's dice, basically. So I believe one of them in the earlier cards fucked with your dice. Now this one fucks with theirs. So all around, I like this promo. It's very interesting. It serves a purpose. I might actually run this. And finally, we have our 3 banners in Rune Mark of Tir Na Nulg, aka Greenland. Then we have Ixnia of Olis, the blue land. And then we have Standard of Taurus, the red land. So all around, very interesting deck. It's definitely a power-based one. You smash through the opponent quickly, and if you combine it with Shadow Legion, you get that early rush, and if by some miracle they do survive it, they probably won't survive the end game with this boy coming down. So all around, I like this deck. It seems really interesting, and I can't wait to try it. I hope you guys will like it too. Remember, this game is dead, but hey, if you want to pick it up, you can. So if you guys enjoyed, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, donate to the Patreon, join the Discord, follow the Twitch, and I'll see you all in the next one. Don't forget to check us out.